We're building up to the mid-season finale, so this video comes with a major spoiler warning. You have been warned. You've been warned. Whoa, that's right, Miss Foster's pen. I'm that cool. We're here today to talk about the Rebel Flesh and the Almost People, the 5th and 6th episodes in the 6/32nd season of Doctor Who, so strap in! To apologise already for my unkempt appearance and lack of videos recently, it's a live holiday at work. If you know where I work, you know that means I'm going to have to be up very early, so I'm just kind of scruffy. But that doesn't matter, you're here to listen to me, not look at me. Unfortunately, you have to look at me while you're listening to me. I'm getting off topic, let's get into the review. Something is troubling the Doctor. Not everything is right aboard the TARDIS, and he's determined to find out what precisely is wrong. But unfortunately, getting caught in a solar flare means that he's crash-landed at his destination a little sooner, and in a more unlikely way than he had hoped. Upon landing on this sort of abbey, I believe it is, some kind of churchy building that's been converted into an acid factory, he finds the crew working there and their gangers, doppelgangers created from a substance known as the flesh, who do the jobs instead of them for the safety of working around acid, have got themselves into a bit of a scrape when this first solar flare hits the island. Boom, baby! The gangers develop their own personalities and believe they are the originals. Immediately everyone's involved in a fight for their lives, quite literally, because whoever survives will become the real deal, the actual person. However, at the midway point, at the end of the Rebel Flesh Part 1, the Doctor has been copied as well, and his ganger in The Almost People joins his team. Now, despite the fact there is a war between both sides, including a bit of complication with the ganger of Jennifer Lucas, who gets on Rory's good side and then turns out to be sort of the main baddie, I suppose, of the episode. Despite the main complications, the Doctor is willing to let the copy of the Doctor join them. However, spoiler alert, toward the end of the episode it becomes clear that the copy of the Doctor had been the Doctor all along, and the one that we thought was the Doctor was actually the copy. Reason? He'd swapped the shoes, the only thing indicating which was which, to make sure that Amy thought that the other one was the other one, to understand the flesh better by judging it via her reactions. It's very complicated, but if you watched it, you get it. That's very important. A bit, again, sort of hard to understand at first, but the reason he was using Amy to judge the reactions and see who she was more, you know, acclimatised, I suppose, to poor choice of word, to being alongside and trusting, because his suspicions were that Amy was a later technology version of the flesh. Proved to be right when at the end, using the right sonic vibration which he got from the adventure to destroy Amy's ganger, we discover that the visions she's been having are actually being had by the real Amy. The eye patch lady's been seen by the real Amy, who is holed up in some form of laboratory or medical bay, 9 months pregnant, about to give birth. Head trip. Ugh. So in all honesty, I watched part 1 on my laptop because it was the week my Virgin box was down, and I didn't enjoy it entirely. It was a good episode, good story, and having watched it back since the initial broadcast, I enjoyed it a lot more because I noticed things that were building up to the end of the story, and also I knew the Doctor's MO this time around. So, you know, I knew what he was really up to, which made me understand the story better. Rory, best character in part 1 by miles. Part 2, thoroughly more enjoyable. The plot really kicks into gear, and the threat level of the gangers becomes more apparent in part 2, especially Jennifer Lucas's ganger, and when she's all mutated and creepy and slinky, and John Carpenter's The Thing at the end, which was nice and scary. 2 Doctors, brilliant, lots of fun dialogue between 2 Matt Smiths, which is unusual because the chemistry between them is amazing, considering, of course, they didn't shoot it together because, you know, physical impossibility. I'm messing with my hair a lot. But well played by Matt Smith. Karen Gillan was great, and I have to say, this series, Amy's felt a little off for me. Now we know why. Assuming at this point that the ganger Amy has been there instead of the real Amy since before the season began, it explains why Amy's behaviour's been a bit, just slightly different. I wonder if that was a conscious decision on Karen Gillan or even Stephen Moffat's part, or whether or not the character's not been written as well as the same way that I enjoyed in Series 5. Rory steals the show once again. Supporting cast were brilliant. Good to see some very familiar faces in there. And here's where it gets It's unusual. This series of Doctor Who has been more about the human dilemma, the moral dilemma of being a time traveller and encountering these all the strange, strange creatures on the air, earth, sea or land. I could sing the rest of that song because I love it, and it's, you know, Neil Hannon from Divine Comedy singing it, and it's in one of the Christmas specials. Anyway, I'm veering way off topic here. Point is that it's all been about the human dilemma. There has been questions as to whether or not who is the real monster in these stories, and there hasn't really been a clear baddie since the Silence. But then again, we don't know what the Silence are doing, so it's hard to fully accept them as villains. I suppose the only other monstrous villain, in a way, has been the astronaut suit killing the Doctor, which of course we still don't know about. And actually, here's a very good point. When Amy thought she was talking to the ganger of the Doctor, the clone of the Doctor, and she said, "I've seen you die, can you die?" that she was talking to the real Doctor. Now I wonder how that's going to play out in next week's episode. Ooh, speculation! So yeah, overall, nice two-parter. I'm very pleased with it, considering the man who wrote it was the man who wrote Fear Her, which is my one of my least favourite episodes of the last few years, alongside, I guess, 42 and Doctor's Daughter. But yeah, lots of things to love in this. Characters were great, not overly complicated. I spent most of the time looking at, I forgot the character's name now off the top of my head, but the Scottish character, and going, that's the cop in Psychoville that's killing everybody off! Ooh! But, you know, different show, so I don't know why I was thinking about that. Superbly performed by everybody, especially Karen Gillan in the final sequence when she was scared and she knew something was going to happen. And at the end of it, I was left wanting fish and chips. I wonder why. So yeah, cracking story. Next time trailer, there was none, but the TV trailer's been showing since, for A Good Man Goes to War. Interesting spoiler images as well. Well, not spoilers, you know, press images gone to press. With the Sontaran, Silurian, we know the Cybermen are involved. I just can't wait to see where they're going with it, because essentially next week they have one episode in the mid-season finale to tie up this half of the season, as well as leaving it open for the second half of the season. And I'm sure it's been mentioned at some point that Stephen Moffat has written this one with a cliffhanger. So we have to wait 3 odd months to find out what happens next. Now normally that happens with Rusty Davies years, that happens at the end of a series for the Christmas special, but it's always just more like a little silly teaser to get you excited. This time it's a full-on cliffhanger. Not a close-up of Colin Baker's face in court going, but a full-on cliffhanger. So yeah, well handled. As the series has gone on, the momentum's built up. I've thoroughly enjoyed this year. It's I've got to say, I'm still preferring Series 5, but I think when we've seen the whole thing, then I'll be able to properly compare the two series and decide whether or not I think Series 6 is genius or just waffly a bit, kind of like me in this video. So post your thoughts on the Rebel Flesh and the Almost People down in the comments below. Don't forget, if you want to share the discussion, post this video on Facebook, on Twitter. I'm Chris is Snowy on Twitter if you want to chat to me about the episode. I'll be more than happy to talk with you. So once again, a little more pleading. Don't forget to favourite, thumbs up this video if you like it. All those are appreciated, because it means I can make more videos based on the reaction I get from YouTube itself. I know what to make based on your reactions. So yes, we'll be back next week for the Who review to chat about Episode 7, A Good Man Goes to War. But until then, I'm going to lift up this measly household pen and turn it into a sonic weapon. Or you know, just point it at the camera and cue the out of the video. It's more likely. Yes.